What's going on? What's going on, Facebook? It is your girl, Myah, and I am back with another episode of Making a Change with Myah. I am excited about this week. It has been a long week, but we finally made it, and now it's time to see what's on the hearts of man and just talk and see what's going on. So with that being said, I do want to let you guys know I'm extremely excited about this week's episode. This week's episode was going to be a little different than what was originally planned. I'm actually waiting on my guest to get here now. So as soon as my guest arrive, I will go ahead and introduce the guest. But what to expect on this episode. So for those of you who do not know, and I will not go into too many details, my guest this week is going to be a representative from the Ville's Voice. As you all know, I am no longer affiliated with the Ville's Voice. However, we thought that this episode still needed to go on to pretty much show the community that we can all be strong leaders and still do business. And so with that being said, my guest today is going to be Pandora from the Ville's Voice. I'm actually just waiting on her to get here, but I had to jump on to get things started. So definitely waiting on Pandora. But listen, while you guys are here, thank you guys so much for tuning in. It means so much to me. And I'm just excited about what this episode has to hold. So wow, like I said, while waiting on her, we're just gonna go ahead and we're gonna jump right in, right? So a lot of people have been asking and just going into detail and having so many questions as it pertains to the Ville's Voice. And so with that being said, we're gonna pretty much answer all questions to the best of our ability about how the group got started, what it is that we did at the Market House, because we did wrap up being there this week. And so that's pretty much what this podcast is about. I highly encourage everybody to go ahead and hit that share button. Let's go ahead and spread the word. Let's go ahead and get this done because listen, this is going to be the answer to all questions right here today. I am excited. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight in to what we have in store. So a lot of people ask, how did this group originate? Where did the group come from? How did y'all meet each other? Like, what is this about? So a lot of us actually knew each other throughout protesting. We definitely knew about protesting. We were all protesting together, doing different things of that nature, and so we all knew each other. You know, stayed in touch, whatever, and so that's how we all came together. But specifically as to how we all decided to work together was, if you guys remember the night that they were painting around the Market House, I had a conversation with Chief Gina Hawkins. And Chief Gina Hawkins did agree to do a public forum with myself. She said I could put it together. She did say I can, get a select few of people due to COVID to be a part of said forum, but she definitely would do that. And so pretty much on June 29th, like I said, Chief Gina Hawkins agreed to have a public forum if I put it together. And so I said, hey, I've met these people during protests. I've seen that they're willing to make a change. Let's all come together and get this public forum done. So at the time that the Facebook group chat was made, nobody intended for it to be the Ville's Voice. It was just, let's get some questions on the line. We're going to come together and have a public forum with Chief Gina Hawkins. At this time, I have not spoken with Chief about, where that public forum stands. But if we really want to be technical, that's how we originally came together. Now, when we were in said group chat, we would just go to different towns. We went to Pembroke, we went to Durham. And we, at that point, we were just like, hey, if we're here together, we're all leaders. Let's go ahead and, kind of work together to bring about change. And so that's definitely how the group was originated. And so awesome group of people. Now, a lot of people also want to know, how did y'all end up at the Market House? I don't understand it. How y'all go from protesting and doing all these things to now y'all just giving up y'all AC and y'all beds to camp out at the Market House. And what I can say, and this is going to be shout out to my brothers and sisters up there in Durham, North Carolina. We had an opportunity as a group to go out to Durham, North Carolina, and to see what it is that they had going on there. Shout out to my man Skip. We went out there, Skip and them, they posted up at the mayor's house. They was like, listen, we won't change. We want certain things done. We want certain questions answered. And so we going to be right here until the mayor come out and answer questions. And so we didn't necessarily understand it, but we definitely want to support The mayor came out, spoke to the group. And so then at that point, Skip was like, did y'all want to come back to the camp? So I'm like, the camp, like, what's going on? And it was a humbling experience. So we went back to what he calls the camp, and right there in front of their police department, they were camped out. At the time that we went, I want to say they was on day 23 or 24. And so it's on my Facebook page as well. Skip allowed me to go on Facebook Live and pretty much tour their camp. And so they had the same thing we did. They had tents, they had tarps, they had a whole kitchen in there, they had a bed area. And so if I could be completely honest with you, like, it inspired us as a group. Like, they're doing this in Durham in front of the police station. And the crazy part is, like, he told us, he was like, we were arrested. Like, we've been arrested before for doing this very thing, And so we just said, hey, if this is what they're doing in Durham and it's producing some type of result, we need to bring it to the Ville. Like, this is definitely something that we need to bring to the Ville. And so at that time, we had actually said that we were going to do it in a week. But, time is of the essence. So literally that absolutely very next day, we were downtown. We met at 9 o'clock that morning. Absolutely. We met at 9 o'clock that morning to pretty much camp out different locations and what we thought would be best for us. And so on July the 8th at 9 a.m., we met down there downtown. We scoped out different locations as to where where we thought was going to be the best for us. I remember we looked at the police station. We looked at City Hall. We looked at that lovely baseball stadium. And so a lot of people say, why the Market House? Like, the Market House was not on your list of demands. So how did you get to picking the Market House? And so the best way I could describe that is, it was just one of those things where the Market House is going to get the most attention, because the Market House as itself, as a building, is the most controversial topic right now. It is the most thing that would get the media's attention, our elected officials' attention. And so we really thought that was going to be the best thing for us. And so we began setting up shop. And I remember when we first started, myself, Keem, and Bishop, we met at Walmart that day. I want to say we went to Walmart around maybe 4 o'clock. And so we began buying sleeping bags, tarps. We bought a big tent. And this was all out of our own pocket. But we definitely felt it was necessary to go ahead and get things started if we did that. And so that is how we got started. When we went downtown to the Market House to go ahead and set up shop that night, we had we had 3 tarps and 1 tent. 3 tarps and 1 tent. That is how the occupancy of the Market House started. Didn't really take a lot. I'm going to tell y'all what they say. It don't take a lot to get started. And so I could definitely say, once we got down there and once it got out to the media, once I went Facebook Live, people began pulling up that night, donating, just donating water, whatever it is they thought they could donate. And so the ball really started rolling very early as to what it is that we wanted to do. And so I could definitely tell you guys, just to get started, just for it to be an idea, it definitely took a lot. And it, in my personal opinion, I want to say it was something that was quite successful. And so, okay, someone said, hope you guys are doing well. We are doing great, and we'll get to that. We'll get to that part. But we're definitely absolutely doing great. And so as for the time that we was out there occupying the Market House, we definitely faced a lot. Myself, I know many people have been asking about my health because, listen, you guys, I was dehydrated. I literally would go home for about 30 minutes, shower, and come right back. And they used to tell me all the time, Myah, like, go, like, you good, take a night. But I couldn't, because my heart and my passion was in what it is I was doing. So I couldn't go home. I felt wrong if I would go home. And so, during that time of being at the Market House, we actually had a protest. Sorry, guys, a protest scheduled for that Saturday. And so that was something that we were definitely preparing for. Now, right before the protest happened, the day before, I got a phone call from someone in the group, and they were like, yo, Mitch said he want to meet with the group. Mayor Mitch Colvin said he wanted to meet with myself and 2 other individuals that were in the Ville's Voice, and he wanted to sit down and have a meeting. So I'm like, listen, that's what we wanted. Is that not why we're out here? We're out here to get Mayor Mitch Colvin's attention. So we need that meeting. And so long story short, I want to say that meeting that day, give me 1 second because I want to make sure I speak facts. So I'm looking at my phone here. That day, let's see. We met with Mitch on July 10th at 4:30 p.m. It was myself, Mr. Keem Jones, and Mr. Ryan Ford. And that is who I met with Mayor Mitch Colvin. So everybody been asking, yo, what's the specifics with this meeting with Mitch? And the reason why I'm going into details with this podcast, you guys, is because I feel like this needs to get out so we can all be on an understanding. You get what I'm saying? And so first and foremost, I do want to thank him. Despite what people believe or even my personal beliefs about how that meeting went or things that got said, thank you, Mayor Mitch Colvin. First and foremost, because you didn't have to take the meeting. You could have continued to ignore us. You did not have to take the meeting, but you did. So truthfully, shout out to you. And so the dynamics of the meeting was, as soon as we walked into the meeting, now I'm not going to lie, he did ask if we could turn our cell phones. And although I was a little like, because y'all know I love to go Facebook Live, I was like, okay, cool, whatever. And so after that part of the turning off of phones, his next thing was, listen, we need y'all going by Monday. So I'm like, excuse me? Like, you ain't even so much as came down here to check us out, but you need us going by Monday. I was kind of confused. And so, he was just talking. We tried to really dab into what our demands were at the time, but we didn't get a chance. Like, he was just stuck on us leaving on Monday. And so, to sum it up, he pretty much said, I have a proposal. He was like, if I can call each one of my city council representatives and we can have an unofficial vote. What that means is, let's say he wanted to ban everybody. No. So my guest has arrived. Pandora is here, ladies and gentlemen. How you doing, Miss Pandora?
Hello.
So, pretty much we're just, right now, we already talked about how the group was formed, the group chat. It was originated for a public forum with Chief Gina Hawkins. So where we are right now is we're talking about the meeting with Mr. Mitch Colvin. And so he told us, he was like, I'll call each one of my city council representatives and I would do an unofficial vote. So back to what I was saying. So that's like him saying if he didn't want everybody to eat at McDonald's, he would call them and say, hey, is it okay if we put a bill in place to ban McDonald's? Each one of them would give an unofficial vote. So when it turns into an official vote, he would pretty much already have their answer. And so at that time, he was like, if I do that and I get the amount that is necessary to pass certain things along that y'all want, can we do a press conference on Monday to go ahead and pass those particular things? And so I was like, I don't know. I really don't know. Myself and King, we was just like, nah, that don't make sense. But we talked to our big brother Ryan, and we was like, okay. But before we made any type of decision, we did let it be known that we do have to go back to the group to really talk about it. And so, Pandora, you could pretty much take it from there. Like, what was that conversation like about what it was that Mitch Colvin had proposed to us?
As far as personal opinions?
Personal opinion, go ahead.
At first, I felt like he might have been sincere.
Okay.
Just from my personal opinions on what his character was prior to me being in this group, my previous opinions on him and our relationship, I felt like it probably would have been sincere. But later on, after I got to think about it in the way that it sounded, it just didn't sound right. That's
okay.
How I feel.
Okay. As for myself, I was like 50-50. You get what I'm saying? I wanted to take it. Pandora, they actually said they could not hear you. So, keep talking. There we go. So, so for myself, I was 50-50. I was like, maybe we should, maybe we shouldn't. But as a group, we said we wouldn't take it. And so at that point, we were trying to figure out how could we get that across to Mr. Mitch Colvin. And so before we get to the words that were said, since that is so controversial, we're pretty much going to go to the protest, the morning of the protest when it was actually supposed to take place. What was it like prior to us ever taking the steps at the courthouse? And if you can, like I said, just speak up a little bit because they said you're just really low.
Prior to the protest, everything was cool. People was getting themselves together. I know for me, myself, I was anticipating the protest. I was anticipating, especially the things that we were planning to talk about and the plan that was had for that protest. I was anticipating. I was disappointed afterwards.
Okay, and that's perfectly fine. Now, what a lot of people don't really know, because a lot of people watch the podcast but not necessarily watch my page, that right before, I'm about to say that morning, but it was really afternoon. That afternoon, we actually went down to the courthouse, and was it not blocked off? Was every part of it not blocked off to where people could not park?
We had people that was telling us they was being turned around up the street. That traffic light that was at the intersection of Dick Street was turned off. It was messed up. The jailhouse was blocked off. The streets was blocked off. Public parking on the street was blocked off. Pretty much everything.
So let me ask you this before I share my Myah spin on things. What were you thinking about all of that being blocked off? What was going through your head? What did you think about that particular moment?
I felt like they was trying to stop the protest. They knew the message that it was going to get across, and they was trying to limit the protest that we had here in Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Okay. So I'm going to be honest with you. Like, when I saw everything blocked off, keep it $1.50. The first thing that came to my head, I can't lie, I ain't going to blame the man because we don't know if he did or not. It was Mitch. Like, that was just my perspective, because I'm like, yo, like, I'm confused. This very parking lot was the same place that cops and their families got to park to have the Blue Lives Matter march. So it didn't make no sense. And so after talking to the sheriffs, they said they might not let people park there, but that we could take the courthouse steps. And so with that being said, I'm gonna let Pandora. Give me 1 second. Okay, give me 1 second, guys.
I'm just telling you what I wrote.
Okay. So yeah, before I put my Myah spin on things about what happened right there at those courthouse steps, I'll take it over to my guest, Pandora. What do you feel about that?
As you know, I'm mostly the neutral person. I do feel like the things that was said at the courthouse, I would not have said them, but I don't look at you in a negative light because you said those things, if that makes sense. I don't agree with what you said. I wouldn't have said that, but at the same time, I'm biased in that situation because of that relationship that's there. So I don't look at it in a negative light. I've had issues where I done been at the market house and someone have said something to me and I got rowdy back and I didn't actually want to do that. So I can't sit here and act like people don't get heated or there's some things that's on their chest that they want to get out. I'm not saying that you would take it back. I'm just saying I can't sit here and lie and say that that's how, you know what I'm saying? That's just how I feel.
Now, for those of you who don't know, I'm going to go ahead and air myself out. I'm a big girl. I called Mr. Mayor Mitch Colvin a punk. On the courthouse steps, I called our mayor of Fayetteville, North Carolina a punk. Now, everything else I said, it was not out of emotion. It was straight facts. It was about the deal he offered us, and it was about the fact that we weren't taking it. So outside of me calling him a punk, everything else was straight facts. But let me dive into this, me calling him a punk, because I get mixed things. I shouldn't have said it. I should have said it. I should have said more, whatever. So I watch social media. I know for a fact people have called him worse on social media. Like that's no capping in that at all whatsoever. And so when I made that statement, for the life of me, I could not figure out why it was such an issue, because Myah said it. But let me tell you my philosophy as to why I think it was wrong. Number one, because I'm a female. Number one, because I am a female. I feel like because I am a female, it was an issue. Had it been a man, I don't think it would have been as big of an issue. Period, point blank. And I also think it was an issue because when people post on social media, you know, a couple friends may comment here or there, that's it. When Myah speak, people listen. And so I truly feel like that was a issue, you know what I'm saying? And so, I mean, I've said it before, I'll say it again. If I could go back in time and take back what I said and how I did it, I wouldn't. Like, period, point blank. I feel like I spoke on what I need to speak on. The message got clear, very cross, that we were not taking his offer. And it is what it is. Now, one part that a lot of people did not speak on nor address. Now, Mitch Colvin addressed me on social media. He made a statement saying I say one thing behind closed doors and then another on Facebook Live. So I ain't like that, but I don't do the Facebook wars. You know what I'm saying? But one thing that the mayor left out addressing that I didn't appreciate was the fact that his niece rolled up on me. She rolled up at the courthouse, said some things that I can't say out of respect for WIDU. And so, yeah, I was threatened, I tell you that. She didn't put no fear in my heart, but she definitely rolled by and she threatened me. So before I go into, like I said, my Myah spin on things, you were there. What can you say about that?
That was uncalled for. It did. If that was a situation on what was said, I feel like that should have been left between that situation and Mitch. For her to come up there and say what she said, and in front of everybody, it was uncalled for, and it really made some of us look at him in a negative standpoint, even though he can't control her actions, but that just wasn't it. I know I was there at that time, we was there together, and I was pissed off too.
Outside of that, that's just what it was. Like I said, she rolled up on us. She said some things. And at that time, I'm gonna be honest with y'all know me as Myah. What y'all don't know me as is my tiara. And I had to, in that moment, do a little woo-side because my tiara almost got activated. And then it really would have been bad. But that's all I'm gonna say. But y'all know how I am. This is my podcast. I'm not afraid to share things, to say things. It's gonna be nobody really gotta agree with what I say type of vibe. You get what I'm saying? So that was pretty much the protest. After that took place, we left the courthouse steps and we began to march. If I'm not mistaken, Pandora, I believe we touched the courthouse steps, the jailhouse where we screamed "I love you," and then we made it back to the market house. Correct?
Yes.
Hey. I'm trying so hard. Listen, hey, I hate to do this. I really do. But this episode is over. It is 110% over. We'll have to figure out what to do on my live radio station because now we have a problem, right? I specifically, and this is what I did not want to happen. I specifically asked that my podcast be my podcast. So I think what I have an issue with is how I'm here trying to do my podcast in a professional manner and people that I asked not to attend show up. I asked in text message that certain people not show up because I'm trying to do this in a very professional way just to do a podcast. That's it. So I don't understand what the issue is.
Can I make a suggestion that we continue the podcast? They are not to speak.
I can't do that because the same way there was an interview that was done right here in this very room, and I wasn't told about. I didn't show up because that wasn't my place to do so. I didn't come to that podcast that I was not invited to and just show up and sit down in the room because I wasn't invited. So what I don't understand is how I specifically told you, Pandora.
Correct.
You were the only one to be here. I stated no one else was to be here. I wasn't rude nor disrespectful about that. So I guess what I don't understand is how I now have a room full of people who are here. Okay, so what is the purpose?
I want to continue the podcast, and they just walked in. They're not talking. They're not saying anything. Y'all don't care to have a mic? Not saying.
All right. So with that being said, listen. Councilwoman Waddell will be on next week. It may air a little bit earlier. We're just going to pre-record for radio reasons. And yeah, I'm not going to do this. I told y'all that's just not how I am. So I do greatly and deeply apologize. But yeah, I'm not going to do this. So I apologize to you guys here at WIDU, but this episode is over. Yeah.